Hello, my name is Kevin Harrell. I'm the founder of the company called Found. We specialize in GPS locators designed to make life a little bit easier for the consumer, give some peace of mind and reassurance, and allow people to go through their day in a more smooth manner. The premise of the company, the value proposition is quite simple. It's mainly structured around saving consumers money, saving consumers time, and also being a convenient option that brings peace of mind for anybody who decides to use it for any of their products that they frequently lose. I'm sure everyone can relate to losing something small. It could be a keychain, it could be a wallet, it could be say a remote control. Anything that's small that this could be attached to would actually help with saving some time, offering peace of mind. The pains of this truly come from frustration from losing items, those lost items that maybe potentially have some value to folks. It also can can cause people to be late to different appointments, school, things of that nature. So ultimately, the gains of this product is the additional money from not having to replace those items, added peace of mind for anybody who has a problem with losing things frequently, and better time management through being able to meet your obligations, your appointments on time, and not have the frivolous moments of searching for items take up time that you weren't otherwise expecting it to do. One of the key insights I received from interviews on this is that one of the quotes I received is, "If I could always have an easy way to find my keys, that would make my life so much easier." That seems to be a common theme among people. The minimum valuable product looks very similar to this. There's a couple different variants that we'll have with it. One will have a chrome trim, but a pretty understated approach. It's mainly focused on making sure it's housing the chip, offering an opportunity to hear a ping through it, but at the same time not creating a very gaudy look to bring attention to it. In case something is ever lost or stolen, there is an easy way to locate it without bringing undue attention to it. The app will also be the main piece of information that will actually guide somebody to the location of the GPS locator, and it would be downloaded through the App Store free of charge. As far as the market size for this type of product, in a 2017 survey of Americans, 28% of Americans said they lost their keys at least once a week. That represents a significant potential market that we have to bring this product to. We use a top-down method to determine what the total available market and the served available market would be. And based on the 2017 data from the World Bank, the U.S. population was 325.7 million people. Of that, the total available market would be 162.9 million. And based off of just that 28% who lost their keys once a week, we're talking about a served available market potential of 45.6 million people. Even if that's on the high side of things, that's still a significant number of people to be able to get this product in front of. The company will be based out of San Diego, but since it'll be an online business, the actual operations center wouldn't be necessarily that important. The key things to focus on is being an online business, making sure that your content is able to get in front of your target market, which will use different analytics opportunities through website tracking and Google AdWords campaigns that would really allow us to understand where our target market's at and being able to get that information in front of them. There's three main customer segments that we'd be looking at. The archetypes are outlined here. We've outlined the three different types as Michael, the commuting college student, Joanne, the homemaker mother of three, and Jack, the professional businessman. As you can see, there's a number of different pulls and ties and concerns, worries, pains, and gains for each of these different archetypes. And we'll go through some briefly. Mainly just wanted to focus on the pains and gains of each of these to show how our value proposition will really be able to bring this product to this particular market segment. When you're talking about commuting college students, Those are typically students who have a lot of demand on their time. They probably got a job somewhere. They probably don't necessarily live all that close to campus. They have their responsibilities with school, and then they have their own social agendas that they have as well. Doesn't leave a ton of time for unplanned items. Again, this is where bringing this product to this particular type of archetype would really help serve their gains and making sure they, are passing their classes, making it to their classes on time. They um, help meet their ultimate goals through being able to achieve their various goals. One of the early evangelists, though, for this type of product would be Joanne, the homemaker, mother of three. There's a ton of demand on her time through her own obligations, through her children's obligations, through any groups that she's a part of, through family obligations. Time is definitely of essence for this particular this particular market segment. And of the interviews that were conducted, it was pretty clear that this particular market segment was the one that was most excited about the type of product because it would bring peace of mind, ease to their lives. And finally, the last market segment, Jack, the professional businessman. A product does have value for them because they have a lot of obligations to clients, to work, to businesses, things of that nature. So in the short run, the product would have value, but this particular segment has a little more disposable income, so they weren't as sensitive to having to replace items and take potentially a monetary hit just for the sheer sake they can get things done quicker. So in the short run, it would be good. The long run, probably not the best as far as the best market segment, as say Joanne and Michael would be the community college student. From here, really want to look at building our customer relationships through get, keep, grow, and viral loop strategies. Everything, because it's an online business, is going to generate through different AdWords campaigns, specifically through social media. Social media has a lot of different variable data that we can get at, and through different searches and information that we get back, we can start to get our product in front of people that are looking for our type of product. Keyword focus is a huge way to be able to do this and understand who is looking for what we're selling. That's the first part of the funnel to be able to get them into the get part of our sales strategy. Advertising the free app will be a huge selling point. Apps that definitely come in different varying costs these days. However, a free app along with a product would be definitely a selling point for us. Once we get the app in their hands, that's a way for us to keep them with us. It's a way for them to be connected through us. So any customer service opportunities, upgrades, things of that nature would go through the app. It's a way for us to communicate with them, which will become later when we talk about revenue streams, because we'll have opportunity to have different businesses advertise on this application, charge them. We'll talk about that later. But it also allows us to communicate updates and push notifications, basically things that will keep them in touch with a one-time purchase product. Ultimately, the peace of mind, the cost savings, the time savings that this product offers will eventually lead to referrals, and which we can enhance through social media by creating a hashtag that would promote sharing user generated content to really get our product in front of our customers' networks. That's the best way that we'll use this to really create a viral loop. We can use the hashtag through creating promotions, offering incentives through sharing content, and which we can be creative with and really create that loop of customers through our get, keep, and grow strategy. As far as the distribution channel, it's pretty simple. We'll have it manufactured overseas. We'll have the component part shipped to a manufacturer, which would assemble it through an assembly line, and then it actually would ship to a distributor. The distributor we're looking to use is Amazon. It's a household name, very well known, and Amazon ultimately gets to the customer. Based off of our early evangelists, this is the type of delivery method that people are moving more and more familiar with, and getting more and more familiar with it. So we figured this would be an ideal distribution channel to be able to get our product in the hands of our customers. Some of our key partners, like we just talked about, would be Amazon. We create a strategic alliance with them, mainly focus on their end. Our value to them is creating a clientele base, creating an inventory base for their brand, for them to get their brand in front of. While for us, it's, since we would be a startup, to keep overhead low, to keep a lot of the inventory and infrastructure expenses down, we would use Amazon to actually house the information, ship the information, or excuse me, ship the product to them specifically. Allowing for us, it's definitely a reward for us. One of our risks we have obviously could be, since it is a third party, if Amazon tends to go down, or they or they do raise costs, or they do have a PR issue, that could in fact impact our business flow and our cash flow. However, they're a well-established company, which the likelihood of that happening is probably pretty low. Another key supplier for us is our actual GPS chip, which we get through Broadcom, another well-known corporation, right up there along the lines with Qualcomm. And same thing, they have the technology that we would tap into. It's definitely a reward for us. We would be a consumer for them, which would further their sales of their own particular chips. And again, a third party, anytime you're dealing with a third party, you're at the mercy potentially of their PR issues and their cash flow issues and their business operations issues. However, again, a very established company we'd be using, so the risk of that is very low. It's mitigating that mitigating that risk in a very smart manner. There's obviously the 4 different key resources that we're taking a look at: physical, financial, human, intellectual. We've talked a little bit about this already, but as far as physical resources, since it is an online business, that's really contingent upon developing a space, developing a domain. There is a potential to ultimately move to retail down the road. However, we feel this product would best serve starting online and then potentially moving into the retail venue. Again, we just talked about the GPS chip being a key physical resource. That chip ultimately determines our success, and since it is a high power chip, it can detect locations up to even inches. Linking that with the infrastructure of our mobile app would be definitely a key physical resource for us. And again, getting our information and our product in front of customers is key. So Google AdWords campaigns or keywords campaigns is certainly a physical resource that we'll be using as well. As far as financial, there's been a lot of good success in Kickstarter and angel investor campaigns. Since our SAM, our served available market for this is so large, there wouldn't be any reason to suspect that a Kickstarter campaign wouldn't be successful for this type of business, to getting us the cash flow we need to get the company off of the ground. And as far as operating expenses, should the time come, if necessary, there's always finance opportunities that we can use to really help fund our actual operational expenses for a period of time. As far as human resources, since this is initially going to be a smaller startup with very few people involved, not a ton of human resources involved necessarily here, but as the company grows into a larger company, it's really self-accountability and respect are the key features, that key culture features that we're looking to drive with the company. People that are engaged with the company and wanting to make the company as good as it possibly can be, don't need a ton of management on its own, and that's one of the key culture items that we're looking at doing. So we don't have a ton of HR costs and labor costs and things that would come with some of those other higher turnover and personnel issues that arise through human resources. There's 3 key intellectual resources that we'll need to take a look at. Trademarking our logo will be key, since it will be our own business. Obviously, we want to keep an individual representation of who we are. We'll need to copyright different material, both our online app versus our app and our online website will be key copyright information that we'll need to apply for and get to protect our competitive advantage. And different contracts that we'll set up through different suppliers will also be key to make sure that both parties understand what the expectations are for each other. So there are no surprises, and we understand what we're going to get, when we're going to get it, and how we're going to get it. There are some key activities that we need to really take a look at before we can even get the company off of the ground. They're mapped out here. Our supply chain flow and our website development flow are two things that really need to happen before the company can even start to operate. The supply chain flow really is talking about specifically to the manufacturer. When we get an order, we have the chips that are shipped to the manufacturer, our product shell, and components shipped to the manufacturer, which is then built to the manufacturer, packaged to the manufacturer, and then shipped to Amazon. It's a key supply chain that really needs to make sure we have the infrastructure in place before we can get going. As far as the website, it's about hiring a developer, giving the content to the website developer to go with. Then we'll meet with the developer, determine if it's acceptable. If it's not, we'll have them redo it and set up another meeting at that point. Once it becomes acceptable, though, then we can put in our analytics. We'll put the tracking codes in there, the cookies in there, create the Amazon sales interface, and then at that point we can launch the website and begin our operations with the website. As far as costs, we have a couple specific costs here. We have our variable costs, which consist of different materials, manufacturing and shipping, and our Amazon, our supplier cost, which are outlined here. That this is on a yearly basis. We're looking at roughly $125,000. One of the key fixed costs is our R&D, which is a year one cost, which we would expect to go down, which would increase margins down the road. But as you can see, we're running the fixed costs on a pretty lean basis as best we can for a first-year company regarding website, developer, advertising, and labor. There is some flex, and we'll talk about it later as it comes to labor. Should the time come. This kind of depicts our revenue streams. We have our company, which delivers a product, which is sold through Amazon. Once we get it through Amazon, we get revenue that comes back to us for the product. The user and the product user gets it in their hands. They download the app, and then once they download the app, there's an opportunity now to get our different business partners and their advertisements in front of our customers, which is another way to generate revenue for the company as an additional revenue stream. One of the key indicators that we really received when we got feedback for revenue is that we initially had it priced at a $20 price point, which, based on the cost that we just talked about, would ultimately lead us to bankruptcy pretty quick. However, we got understanding that the product is actually valued more at the $30 price point. That $30 price point allows us to have the cash flow necessary to continue operations, especially through year one, with a positive cash flow. These are the 5 most important metrics that matter for us. Understanding costs, which we've already talked about. Our supplier costs. The supplier costs can be variable with Amazon. Should they continue to raise their prices or it doesn't come in our estimate, that's where we need to potentially look at pivoting away from them into more of an individualistic idea of supplying. And we'll rather than paying Amazon the cost to supply and to ship our material, we may look at absorbing that cost on our own to help save money that way. Understanding how many app downloads we get and views we get is important, because our revenue stream is based off of how many views we get. We get a payout per X amount of views. Understanding how many of those we're getting is important, so we make sure we have our revenue projections on point. Our labor costs are always going to be key to understand. This is where we have some flex here. Should we run into potential operating cash flow, we have some flex in this area where we can, on the short term, mitigate some of this cost and allocate it into different operational costs. It was not a good long-term strategy, but however can be a short-term strategy that can allow the company to grow in the first year. And our burn rate is going to be at about $25,717 a month, which, if we were to start with $100,000 in capital to start, we'd be out of money by the 4th month. However, should our sales productions continue in the way that we anticipate they would, it would ultimately lead us to having a positive cash flow by year end. These are the different. We have different market forces, or different business environment ideas. Our market forces, industry forces, key trends, and macroeconomic forces are all certainly factors to consider as we move forward here. The market for this particular product right now is pretty strong because of the type of macroeconomic environment we're in. People are always looking at making their life a little bit easier, creating a little more peace of mind in their life. This is what that company would solve. It would certainly have an appeal to a wide variety of people. As far as the industry, mainly for this, we're looking at, because we're dealing with an offshore and overseas manufacturer, governments are always going to be a stakeholder when it comes to tariffs, taxes, things of that nature. There is a little bit of tension right now between China and the U.S. When it comes to trade. However, I would fully expect that to ultimately be a non-factor in the long run. However, should that arise to be an additional impact, that can be a force on our business that would cause us to have to potentially pivot in the way that we are manufacturing our particular product. As far as trends, there is a growing hesitation potentially just to deal with the United States on a worldwide basis, from a cultural impact. However, from a business standpoint, those concerns tend to actually not be as large as they are from a cultural, and because the benefit that companies would get from working with us and the benefits they would get financially from working with us tend to outweigh some of these other cultural concerns for the United States. So wouldn't be as concerned about that, having manufacturers not wanting to work with us overseas. As far as macroeconomic forces within the United States, we're in a phase right now in the United States where we're in a boom phase where people have the money and the expendable income to spend on a product like this. We're in a good spot right now with GDP growth at 3.4% as of last year, and unemployment is low at 4%, at one of its lowest levels, I should say. So there's definitely opportunity here to tap into some of that disposable income from some of our middle class to upper class segments that most of our segments fall into. I really wanted to focus our SWOT analysis on our value proposition, because our value proposition is our driving factor and our identifying factor of who we are as a company. Everything that we have on this SWOT analysis is a result of the different topics and blocks that we talked about with our canvas to this point. Definitely the strengths of this company: saving time, offering peace of mind, saving money, creating an intrinsic value for our targeted marketing. These are all tremendous strengths that result in our channels, our relationships, our partners, our activities, everything, our price point, everything that goes into it. One thing that I'm very confident of is that our strengths certainly outweigh definitely the weaknesses and threats to the company, and our opportunities, especially on the target markets and the business advertising opportunities, that could potentially work into being the primary source of revenue over the actual cost of selling this product. It creates a tremendous opportunity potentially for us because of the amount of views that this product can get. Should we start developing some of these relationships with business partners, that can ultimately turn into our mainstream of revenue. This is again stemming from all of our value proposition. Some of our weaknesses, we may not be able to be relatable to multiple customer segments. We feel like we're overcoming that though with the particular customer segments that we're going after. People may lose their phone, making the necessary app to find their information useless. Yes, it's a weakness, but there are mitigating factors to this. The GPS pinpointing of phones is becoming more and more sophisticated. So this is something that is not as much of an issue as it was in the past, potentially. The battery may die on the product or the phone. However, there are strong indicators that will be worked into the app and the phone itself that can be overcome. A weakening economy can be a major threat to this company, just because this is not a product that is a necessary product for people. However, um, all signs right now for the economy are that it's very strong, so I'm not as concerned with that right now at this point. Competition will always be a threat. However, I feel like the chip that we're using, the design we're using, and the app we're using will be superior to our competition, which mitigates this threat. And satellite coverage, this is dependent on satellites because it's GPS positioning. Satellite coverage could be a concern. However, more and more as we get more advanced in our technology, this is becoming less and less of a threat to our particular company. This is ultimately what the canvas started at. If you can see here, or if you look at here, the yellow blocks are the starting canvas, and the gray blocks are the finishing canvas. Some of the key things just to really highlight here is we're able to really, through customer feedback and interaction and insights, we're able to really nail down our three main customer segments, our value proposition, who we're dealing with as far as partners, and our particular activities that we need to get off the ground. We pivoted away from a couple different things. Our initial proposed selling price is something we pivoted off of. We pivoted off of just the broad scope customer segment that we had previously. Our key activities, while the initial ones we put on there are important, we pivoted to some more important ones that we need to get off the ground, and also our cost structure. We really were able to nail down some more exact looks of cost structure for us as well. These are all pivots that we received from feedback and insights that we received along the way. Overall, we feel like we have a product that will be successful for customers, will be successful for investors. That's where we're bringing this to you specifically. Our projections ultimately have us ending at the end of year end cash one and a positive cash flow should we hit our projections. With your investment, with your buy into this company, we feel like we can really have this take off. There's a ton of potential and opportunities we talked about in the SWOT analysis. As it comes to marketing partners that can really turn this into a product that is more than just simply a GPS tracker. Thank you for your time, and I do appreciate the time and consideration you have for our product.